Your ruin finances their feed. Let that sink in for a second. It's a blunt statement, almost brutal, and I didn't arrive at it lightly. For a while now, I've been watching this strange dance between what we see online, particularly on platforms designed for visual sharing, and the very real financial pressures many people are under. You scroll through feeds, and it's an endless parade of perfect vacations, flawless homes, the latest gadgets, gourmet meals. It's a highlight reel, a carefully curated stream of apparent success and happiness. Simultaneously, you hear about rising consumer debt, stress over bills, and a pervasive anxiety about keeping up. The two realities just didn't seem to align. I started to think, how is this glossy, expensive-looking online world sustained? What's the actual economy behind it? It's not just about a few ultra-wealthy individuals. It's broader than that. My mind kept circling back to the mechanics of desire, marketing, and the human tendency to compare. We see something, we want it. Marketing knows this. Social media amplifies it on an unprecedented scale, and that's when the pieces started to click into place, not in a single flash, but as a growing realization. The constant exposure to these idealized lifestyles isn't just entertainment. It's a powerful, often subconscious, driver of consumption. Think about what curated really means. It means selected, edited, presented in the best possible light. People aren't generally posting their maxed out credit card statements or the anxiety of trying to make rent. They post the filtered sunset from a boutique hotel. This isn't a criticism of individuals sharing their good moments. It's an observation about the cumulative effect. When all you see are the peaks, your own everyday life, with its inevitable troughs and plateaus, can start to feel inadequate. This creates a fertile ground for marketing. Brands aren't just selling a product. They're selling an image, an aspiration, a feeling of belonging or status that they attach to that product. Buy this car, live this life. Wear these clothes, be this person. And here's where it gets really insidious. This pressure to keep up, to acquire the symbols of the lives we see, often leads to spending that isn't aligned with our actual financial capacity or even our genuine values. It leads to debt, a small purchase here on a buy now, pay later plan, a slightly more expensive phone there because everyone has it, a vacation financed by a credit card because you deserve it after seeing so many others enjoying theirs. Each individual transaction might seem manageable, but collectively, across millions of people, this aspirational spending, often debt-fueled, pumps enormous amounts of money into the economy that produces these images and products. This is how they feed the endless scroll of seemingly effortless affluence, is in part financed by your potential ruin, your overstretched budget, your credit card interest, your financial anxiety. These are, in a way, the invisible subsidies that keep the aspirational machine churning. The brand's profit, the platform's profit from the advertising, the influencers, who are essentially human billboards for this lifestyle, profit. The whole ecosystem thrives on this cycle of desire, comparison, consumption, and often, debt. You're not just consuming content, you're potentially consuming yourself into a hole to chase an image that was designed to be chased, not necessarily attained sustainably by the average person. Let's pause here, because this insight has a very practical application in daily life. Before making a purchase, especially an aspirational one, ask yourself, is this a genuine need or want that aligns with my personal values and financial plan? Or is it a reaction to something I've seen, a pressure to emulate? This act of questioning is powerful. It's not about becoming a miser. It's about becoming a conscious consumer, directing your resources towards what truly enriches your specific life, not an idealized version of someone else's. This could mean choosing to save for a down payment instead of buying the latest trendy item, or investing in an experience that genuinely brings you joy, rather than one that just looks good on Instagram. The ruin I'm talking about isn't always a dramatic bankruptcy. More often, it's a slow erosion of financial health. It's the stress of living paycheck to paycheck, not because of dire poverty, but because of lifestyle inflation driven by external benchmarks. It's the inability to save for future goals, a home, retirement, an emergency fund, because current income is constantly being diverted to maintain a presentable facade. It's the anxiety that comes from knowing your financial foundations are shaky, even if the outward appearance is polished. This internal dissonance, this gap between the projected self and the actual self, is a significant source of modern anxiety. What's also happening is a distortion of what normal means. When your daily digital diet consists of carefully selected best moments, extreme luxury, and effortless success, your perception of a baseline standard of living can become skewed. Things that were once considered significant luxuries start to feel like entitlements or necessities. This isn't your fault. It's a cognitive bias. The availability here, where we judge the frequency or likelihood of an event by how easily examples come to mind. If examples of opulence are constantly available, our brains start to normalize it. So, how do we apply this understanding further? It's about actively curating your own inputs, just as others curate their outputs. You have the power to curate what you consume. Unfollow accounts that consistently make you feel inadequate or trigger impulsive desires. Seek out content that aligns with your actual interests and values. Content that educates or genuinely uplifts, rather than just making you want more stuff. This is like changing your diet. If you only eat junk food, you'll feel a certain way. If you consciously choose more nourishing food, your well-being improves. The same applies to our information diet. You can reclaim your mental space. Furthermore, a huge part of this is internal validation versus external validation. The chase for the lifestyle seen online is often a chase for external validation. Likes, comments, the admiration of others. But this type of validation is fleeting and ultimately unsatisfying. True contentment comes from internal validation, from living in accordance with your own values, achieving goals that you set for yourself, and building a life that feels authentic to you, regardless of whether it's in. This means defining what success and happiness look like on your own terms. Maybe for you, it's financial independence, or strong relationships, or creative fulfillment, or peace of mind. These rarely require the constant acquisition of material goods showcased online. It's a subtle, pervasive system, and it's not necessarily driven by malicious intent from every individual participant. Platforms want engagement, brands want sales, people want to share their lives. But the emergent property of these interactions, supercharged by algorithms designed to keep you hooked and show you more of what elicits a response. Is this pressure cooker? The ultimate takeaway here is to cultivate a critical awareness. When you see that perfect image, remember the unseen effort, the potential debt, the curated nature of it all. Remember that what you're often seeing is the highlight reel, not the full movie with all its struggles and compromises. Your full movie, with your unique financial realities, your personal goals, and your own definition of a good life, is the one that matters. Don't let your resources, your peace of mind, or your future be siphoned off to finance an illusion. Your real life, with its authentic ups and downs, is far more valuable than any perfectly filtered feed. Recognizing that your ruined finances, their feed isn't about bitterness, it's about empowerment. It's about taking back control of your focus, your finances, and ultimately, your own definition of a life well. Okay, so we've unpacked this whole dynamic. The crucial part now is, what can we actually do about it in small, everyday ways to reclaim that peace and financial sanity? It starts with how you scroll. Before that double tap or that sudden urge to buy, just pause for a second. Ask yourself, is this truly for me, or just a fleeting want sparked by a pretty picture? This simple, almost unnoticed pause can be revolutionary. It breaks the automatic cycle of Another small thing, subtly shift your focus, even for a moment each day, to what you already have. It's not about grand gratitude journals, unless that's your thing. Just mentally noting a few things you're genuinely appreciative of. This isn't about ignoring aspirations or improvements, it's about grounding yourself in your present reality, building an internal buffer against the feeling of constant lack that comparison can breed. It helps you appreciate your own journey. Think about defining what enough means for you, not for your neighbor, not for that influencer with the perfect backdrop, but for your genuine contentment and security. This personal benchmark is incredibly powerful. It acts as an internal compass for your spending and saving. It helps you sidestep that relentless pressure to keep up with standards that often aren't even real, let alone yours to begin with. Try implementing a tiny delay for non-essential wants, a 24-hour rule, or even just waiting until the end of the day. Often, that intense desire fades when it's not fed immediately. This gives your rational mind a chance to weigh in, away from the immediate emotional pull of a well-crafted image or advertisement. It's a small act of financial mindfulness. And don't underestimate the power of curating your feed like you'd curate a garden. If an account consistently makes you feel less than, or sparks envy, or triggers impulsive desires, hit mute or unfollow. Protect your mental space. You control the input. These small shifts, done consistently, build up. They lead to more conscious choices, less reactive spending, and a greater sense of control. This brings more peace to your financial well-being, and importantly, to your overall happiness. It's about building a life that feels good on the inside, not just one that looks good on a screen. That internal security, that alignment with your own values, is worth far more than any fleeting external validation gained through purchases you might later regret. It's about true wealth. Thank you for sticking with me through this. I genuinely hope it's given you some food for thought, maybe a new perspective on things we see every day. And hey, before you go, do check out the description below this video. There's something there you might find interesting, or perhaps even helpful. Take care.